Bremner, Morley, and Morley scores!
Onside! Could this be number 2? Yes!
With goal, beautiful. This one in for Shaw. Oh! I'm looking for Will. Yes! Alan Evans. There was quick thinking. A touch. Morley. Goal. Beautiful. That's Shaw. That's 2-1 Villa.
And the Villa fans are roaring again at the clock end.
After winning promotion and the Manager of the Year award in 1975, Ron Saunders shrewdly played the transfer market to reinforce locally produced talent. Aston Villa had already been rewarded with 2 League Cups, and in 1980 the team progressed to an encouraging 7th in the First Division. By now the team was taking shape for their next challenge. The first member of the Championship side to emerge was Gordon Cowans. He joined the club at the tender age of 9 and would go on to represent England.
Peter With jumps well for Collins. Beautiful goal.
Ron Saunders was always on to us young lads, and he did a fantastic job with us all, kept our feet firmly on the ground. I think that was him, just making sure that I didn't get out of place and think, well, come on son, get your feet on the floor. You're doing okay, but you're not that good. And that was his way of doing things. He did it with Gary Shaw, Tony Morley, the 3 of us really, and he really knuckled down on the 3 of us, and it was much easier on the older lads, I promise you.
Dennis Mortimer arrived from Coventry in 1975, a real midfield motivator.
Well, it was a complete surprise to start off with. Things were going really well at Coventry. Gordon Mill was putting together quite a useful young side, and we were having a decent season. And the last thing I thought was a transfer.
Dennis's qualities was an all-round midfield player. He had everything to play midfield. He could get from box to box, he'd get beyond and score goals, he could pass the ball, he could tackle, head the ball. And again, how he never got a full cap for England is amazing really, because he was an exceptional midfield player.
My first game sort of made me realise, crikey, what a club this could be, because it was against West Ham on the Boxing Day, and there was 52,000 in the ground, and I just thought to myself, crikey, this club gets some support, doesn't it? And you realise then that you've joined a club which well, I thought then this is a club that maybe is going places, and with what Ron had said to me, and how he was building for the future and everything, I just thought, well, yeah, there's a great opportunity here to win things, and that was really what it was all about for me, was trying to win things.
In the summer of 1977, Jimmy Rimmer joined the fold, a real bargain at £65,000 after giving sterling service to Arsenal.
I played for the 3 biggest clubs in 3 different areas, so and I know all about it, and I just believed in those things. We had some good youngsters, good experienced players, everything blended together.
Jimmy Rimmer was as good as keeper what was about. Shot stopping, crosses, distribution. Really was a top class keeper.
Here's Trevor Ross, deflection, great save by Rimmer. Oh, what a good stop by Jimmy Rimmer.
At the same time, Ken McNaught was brought in from Everton to succeed Chris Nicol at the heart of the defence, but he took his time winning over the Aston Villa support.
He did take a bit of stick because he arrived the season after we beat Everton in the League Cup, the game that went to Wembley, and then the 2 replays, Hillsborough and Old Trafford. So Ken joined us then from Everton, and it took a little bit of flack from the supporters to start with, but they soon warmed to him, and he settled down very quickly, and well, it's proven what quality he is.
McNaught's partner was Alan Evans, who arrived from Dunfermline Athletic initially as a striker.
It just happened that when the Villa scout was there, I managed to score a hat-trick in that particular game, and that got me invited down to Villa, which subsequently got me signing a little while later, but as a striker, and really as probably Andy Gray's understudy. Andy, the type of player he was always going to get injured, and they're looking for someone who perhaps who could step in when required. And yeah, I came down as a striker, but I was soon told I wasn't good enough to be a striker, so I reverted to centre-back. I had a good attitude about what I wanted to do, a good desire to try and be a successful football player, and I was always going to give it my best shot.
Ken McNaught up with Platt, Evans! Alan Evans!
I had been a striker in my home club in Dunfermline, so it wasn't a problem. I played as a striker for two years up there, and as I say, only had that one season as a centre-back, as a striker, before I came down to Villa. So reverting centre-back was never a problem for me, and we were fortunate. You know, I fitted in well with the team. I fitted in well with Ken McNaught in particular, and we formed a good partnership, and that was a partnership that stood for quite a number of years.
Another convert played alongside him. Kenny Swain, a midfielder at Chelsea, became a right-back with attacking inclinations.
Kenny, well, he just adapted to the position so quickly. Like I said, got forward very well, very comfortable on the ball, could get at full-backs or get passes on, and actually a good dribbler, but a good passer as well.
In August 1979, £200,000 brought Tony Morley down from Burnley.
The phone went at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was Saunders, and he just said to us, would you be interested in coming and talk to Aston Villa? Because obviously, you know, and I said, of course I would, yeah, you know, obviously a big club like that. I said, could you get down here before lunchtime? So I said, I'll come down straight away.
Why I didn't play so often for England, I don't know, because he was the best winger in the country at the time, the most direct winger in the country, and people forget that Tony Morley's playing on the left wing and he's actually right-footed. They don't realise that, but because his left's so good, he can go at full-backs and go either way. He's got pace, so he can cut in, get round, put balls in the box. And he did what he did, scored fantastic goals, and the amount of times that he just step up and be a match winner for us in big games, you know, was endless really, and probably the most exciting winger about at the time, and certainly the most exciting winger I've played with.
A month later, Des Bremner arrived from Hibernian, where he'd gained international recognition with Scotland.
Normally that you come down in your early 20s, and I was actually just turned 27 when I came down to Aston Villa. And obviously playing in Scotland, your dream was always to come down and play at the top level down in England.
Kenny Swain would be bombing forward that much, Des would be back before Swainey. And he was that sort of player. He was really a player that you don't realise what his worth is if you're a supporter. I think as a player, you recognise his strengths, and he really was awesome for the side.
I think I was just one of those sort of players that had a lot of energy for the games, you know, and enjoyed it.
Winger cum striker David Geddes came in less than 18 months after helping Ipswich Town win the FA Cup. Now he'd be out to hurt the Suffolk side's ambitions.
Geddes this is, and he's ready to count!
Irishman Eamon Deasy occasionally held down the left-back slot, but the main tussle for the position was between homegrown pair Gary Williams and Colin Gibson.
If I was playing and I got injured, he came in and kept his place, or I kept my place if we played well. So that was the way it was, really. So we were just sort of etching out a career for ourselves, the both of us. So, you know, it really sort of came home probably towards the end of the season when we were getting close to winning the championship.
Brian Little's injury troubles brought local lad Gary Shaw to the fore.
Sure, he was a phenomenal young player. How he never got an England cap, I'll never ever know. You know, you look at Wayne Rooney. I think Gary Shaw'd won more than him by the time he was 19 and Wayne Rooney's won now. You know, Shaw never got one cap. He should have capped him when he was 18, 19. His finishing, a lot of people said he was slow. He might have looked slow, but the way his awareness, his thinking was so sharp, and his finishing was clinical.
The missing piece in the jigsaw was the line leader, the number 9. After Andy Gray's departure, John Dean had a go. David Geddes was drafted in for a spell. But in August 1980, Ron Saunders found the solution.
Going against Alveston, looking for the cross. It's a good one with goal. Beautiful. 1-0.
The club record £500,000 brought Peter With down from Newcastle. A proven performer, he'd already won a championship medal with Nottingham Forest and went together with Shaw like bacon and eggs.
And look at the way that Peter With picked his spot just wide of Bailey's stretching right hand. Lovely goal, Peter With.
It was funny because when Ron Saunders was selling the club to me, he told me that there was going to be Brian Little and myself playing up front, which I was quite excited about. And of course Gary was a very young player who was going to play fringe parts, as it were, but then was thrust into the limelight immediately sadly because of Brian's injury, and eventually Brian having to finish. You know, and I think that when I look back at that, I only played once with Brian, and that was in his testimonial game, and he scored a hat-trick against England. So, you know, maybe it would have been a good strike force with regards to, you know, the three of us all competing for places, and of course Davy Geddes as well.
I think Peter was the was the play we needed to make our team work the way it functioned best, and that was having a out-and-out striker in Peter's mould. And I just thought that once we got him, you know, that there was a chance.
We just obviously knew a bit about Peter, a big, tall striker. You know, he can score 1 or 2 goals, but until he's actually there and you play along with him, you didn't really realise what a good player he was to play with.
Peter Wood was ready to replace Andy Gray. That's a manager's choice. That's why he's a manager. That's why he makes decisions. You know, but it was not just that. There was a lot of decisions made, and Ron seemed to do that all the time.
Playing with Peter With, I think from anybody who was on the pitch, whether it was a full-back, a defender, centre-half, a midfield player, he was always there as a target to be hit, always available, and an absolute dream to play with, because he could hold the ball up. You could know if he could in trouble, you could put it behind, he'd chase things down, and Gary Shaw fed off him very well.
With down to Shaw. That'll do. Gary Shaw breaks the deadlock.
Sure, he was a very intelligent player and never reached the heights he should have reached, because through injuries rather. But hadn't he got injured, I think Gary Shaw would have gone on to play for England many, many times. An absolute genius.
Centre halves, they knew were in a game when they played against Peter. But not only that, during that season he built up a great partnership with Gary Shaw. Who I'm sure Gary will say that himself, that Peter helped him bring on him a lot, but Gary had a great skill himself for scoring goals. You know, they had a good understanding of playing together, and one worked off the other, and obviously Peter scored his fair share of goals as well.
Gary Shaw, with, and Villa take the lead.
Gary Shaw had a great football brain, great awareness in and around the box. He just knew where things were going to drop, and his finishing, his technique of his finishing, his hold-up play, his little balls around the corner into Peter With, and little movements, clever, things you can't coach.
Gary really was a young up-and-coming striker, scored some spectacular goals, and we formed this partnership, which was basically a very lethal partnership. If you looked at that time, was Steve Archibald and Garth Crooks, and then you looked at ourselves scoring the goals as we did. You know, and when you looked at, I scored 21 and he scored 19 goals, was a tremendous achievement, and also for him because of being the age that he was.
The season began at Elland Road, Leeds. Once a power in the land, they were now in decline, and Villa got off to the perfect start.
I can still remember, I think it was an Argentinian playing for me, Sabella.
Sabella, that's right.
That's right, yeah. I can remember them lining up, it seemed strange, opening game of the season, very warm day. I think they lined up with about 6 up front. I thought, what's happening here? Like, they're going to go for it, like, you know what I mean? I think, no, they ain't going to go for it in the, Premiership or First Division is. But they did. They went for it for 5-10 minutes. They absolutely just kept throwing balls. But we were well organised by then. As a team, we were very, very well organised. So we soaked all the pressure up, and I think I scored the first goal. I can't remember where it came from, but in the end, we ended up quite comfortable winners then, you know. So it was a great start, really.
Flynn taking the free kick. And for Curtis, who screens it so well. It's a penalty. But it was DC coming in who sent Flynn down. And put away by Byron Stevenson. So a marvellous start for Leeds United. And here's Morley. And the goal is given. Tony Morley. A real bolt from the blue. Well, they seem to have closed him down, but he struck the shot so crisply. Remler just touching it away, and Hart's out of position now. And here goes Morley. He's lost Stevenson again. And now Mortimer. Lukic really committing himself and with, and Shaw makes it. Well, you sensed it was coming.
The first home game of the campaign against Norwich was won by a single goal from Gary Shaw. His partner in crime, Peter With, opened his account at Maine Road in a 2-2 draw with Manchester City. A third win in 4 league games came in the first Midlands derby of the season against Coventry, Gary Shaw grabbing the headlines once again. So a promising start, Villa ending the month in 3rd place, with Ipswich Town leading the way from a Kevin Keegan-inspired Southampton. But September was to provide something of a reality check. First up, they faced league leaders Ipswich at Portman Road. Bobby Robson's team were expected to push hard on all fronts, and the game set what was to become a familiar but frustrating pattern.
We lost the game 1-0, but to me, I think it was possibly our best performance of the season, because we just played them off the park and we didn't get the rewards for it. But you know, it once again, you know, we saw what we were capable of. We played against a team that was going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season as well. They had a lot of international players. In fact, I think every player in their side was an international player, as against us, who I don't think we had one full international in the side.
We lost at Everton at Villa Park. Everton beat us and we were flying at that time. But that worked as a springboard for us. We went on and won the next 3 or 4 games comfortably.
Aston Villa needed just 3 minutes to plunder the wide-open spaces in Wolves' defence. Tony Morley, the player, making ground, and his cross-come shot going in off Emlyn Hughes. But Villa had cause to question their own defence in the second half. A cross from the left allowed to carry all the way to the welcoming Mel Eves to make it 1-1. Villa's winning goal came from this free kick. David Geddes getting free of the markers.
Another setback was to come in the League Cup as Villa crashed out to 2nd Division Cambridge. Steve Spriggs and Tom Finney with the goals for the East Anglians.
Yeah, it was one of those games, the shock happens, doesn't it? We're probably going out there think it's going to be easy. Small ground, they're up for it, we'll show these, and we deservedly we got beat. Maybe that was a blessing in disguise, you know, but I don't think the management was very happy at the time, like, because obviously it's revenue for the club coming through all the time, you know. Unfortunately that's the way it is. Then it was revenue for the club that you got knocked early on, there's less money come through the gates, you know, so they weren't very happy. But we didn't perform well that night at all, like, you know. And it just, you know, at the end of the day we got beat, we couldn't do nothing about it. We settled around, the better team won on the night.
After that hiccup, a virus-ridden team responded perfectly, beating Crystal Palace 1-0 the following Saturday. The remedy for the team's ills? A few tots of brandy in the dressing room.
I think the brandy flask was always passed around, always in the dressing room prior to matches. Ron Saunders always put a bottle of brandy on the table in the dressing room.
From the first man going out to last one, it was about half a bottle gone. Like, it was like, yeah, that was his way. He just believed in that, get it down. You know, like someone used to drink and spit it outside, like they hated the stuff. But it's just his way of getting people going, like, you know.
This was the senior players, the older players, by the way. To be honest, none of us young lads did, but some of the senior players had a fair few swigs and get themselves a bit of confidence before going out there.
There's quite a few shots gone, believe me. Like, I think the dressing room was like a brewery, like that's before we went out, you know. So that's the way it was then, you know.
The match of the day cameras came to Villa Park at the start of October, and the team proved there was no hangover. Sunderland, unbeaten away from home so far, were like lambs to the slaughter.
Mortimer, that's a nice ball. Oh! That's a magnificent goal by Alan Evans. Mortimer on the ball. Cowans. Oh, and Morley's shot! Bremner. With waiting in the middle. Cowans. Oh, that was superbly done. Shaw. Oh dear, he didn't really hit it through, but it went in all right. And the goalkeeper struggling, and Evans scores.
That, to me, was probably the best performance. And what stuck in my mind about that more than anything else was the supporters. Obviously, the end where they come out opposite the old end. They were still chanting 15 minutes after game for the Sunderland support, the team to come out. Phenomenal, because really, to be fair, they were completely and utterly outclassed that day. They just didn't have a chance. We were superb that day. That's probably one of the best performances. But what stuck in my mind was their supporters. They was cheering them. You know, you think hammered like that, they start booing them. But I suppose they were so happy. I'm not sure they got promoted that year, and they actually come on. They had a fantastic run. They played some great teams, and they were unbeaten. And they were buzzing because they are, you know, the great supported team. They probably thought they had a chance, but the difference in the goal that day really showed that day, and as a team we were absolutely superb.
The first of the season's 3-3 thrillers against Manchester United followed. In torrential rain, Villa battled to a point thanks to the With-Shaw partnership and a penalty from Gordon Cowans. Unbelievably, there wasn't a single TV camera in the ground. Cowans' spot kick prowess was needed again, in a tense derby clash at St Andrews.
I do remember that penalty, yes.
It's a bit of a bizarre one, wasn't it? No one really knew what it was for at
No,
first.
nobody did. I don't know whether it hit somebody's hand or what was given, to be honest, but no, thankfully I stuck it away, and it's always doubly nice to stick one away against the Blues.
Derbies are always difficult, no matter where, even if the team that you're playing against is struggling at the bottom of the table, it doesn't matter, it's a local derby and passions are always higher, desires are always there, the fans get into it. And as you say, so many derby games that took a big effort to, and I think it shows the achievement we made, in as much as we were successful in most of those derby games and then went on to win that league, and it was a hard league to win.
You can practice as much as you want on the training ground, but once you're out there and there's a crowd baying like they are and there's Blue supporters hammering you, you just get on with it, just concentrate on what you've got to do and pick your corner, and that's what I did, and like I said, thankfully it went in.
I think it was a 1-1 each going into the last 5 minutes. We had a free kick, and it really ball bounced in the box. I swiveled with my left foot and put it in the top corner, and that's probably the one goal that sticks in my mind more than any other.
Here's Mortimer curling it again towards McNaught, and McNaught again. Referee Ashley, in fact, his decision was a penalty for pushing. There's McNaught's header, McNaught again, and that was the handball that McNaught was claiming. But it's Gordon Cowans for 1-0 Villa. It's a good-looking ball in for Dennis. The cross for Ainscough. Penalty. And that's where the penalty is given there. Brent Worthington for 1-1. It'll drop for Shaw. Oh, well, it's a fine goal from Alan Evans. Brilliant quick thinking by this fine defensive player who can play up front as well.
I think we had something like 7 local derbies. If you go to Nottingham, to Coventry, to Forest, to Stoke, to obviously the Blues, and I think we took maximum points, apart from maybe drawing at West Brom, beating at home. If I'm correct, you might get me wrong, I think Ipswich that year dropped 3 points. It was 2 points. They dropped 3 points that season against a team that got relegated, and that was Norwich, their local derby. So a lot of people have always forgotten how many local derbies we had to win. It was a phenomenal record considering how many. And if you look at Forest, and they were European champions, so they weren't going to be a rollover. West Brom could hold their own with anybody. Blues are never going to give you anything anyhow. Stoke was always a tricky ground to go to. All your top teams used to go to Stoke and always get beat. So Coventry always had a hard team at home. Leicester very, very fit under, was it Jock Wallace? I think Jock Wallace was the manager. So they're really very, very tough local derbies. But we came out. That to me was the highlight of the season. Really winning so many local derbies, because if you've been a pro player, they're the hardest games to win, and to have 7 and to win your league is a phenomenal record, really, because I don't think any other team has got to play that many games.
That derby win over Birmingham was the first of 5 on the bounce. Eventual cup finalists Spurs were well beaten, thanks in part to 2 goals from Tony Morley. It meant another 2 points against Brighton would take Villa top for the first time in just over 4 years. ITV cameras were in place to capture the historic moment, but bloody-minded Brighton boss Alan Mullery insisted his team wore their sponsored shirts, which were then banned on television, and the goals remained unseen.
You'd probably find it with the medical team in afterwards. There were a lot of nosebleeds that day. Realised we're top league, which, as you say, hadn't been achieved for many a long day. But it was a great feeling to have, and we've got over that game and think, well, let's bring on the next game and see where we go from there.
Just to get up there again was fantastic, and then it gives you that little bit more extra incentive to try and stay there, which we obviously didn't. It was nip and tuck all the way with Ipswich. Finally we came out on top.
Villa escaped from the daunting Dell with both points and remained consistent in November. As well as a derby draw at the Hawthorns and another at home to Leeds, Ron Saunders' team picked up further wins against Leicester and Norwich City.
With down for Shaw. That'll do. Gary Shaw breaks the deadlock. McNaught. Peter with jumps well for Collins. Beautiful goal. Oh, what a cracker.
Villa had a shock after 25 minutes when Graham Patten put Norwich ahead. Norwich could have scored more, but after 60 minutes, Villa started their comeback through Gary Shaw after good work on the right by Peter With. Seven minutes from time, it was Shaw again who gave Villa the lead at 2-1. Two minutes later, it was that man Shaw yet again setting up the third goal for Peter With. The final score, Norwich 1, Aston Villa 3.
The unbeaten run ended at Anfield as a Kenny Dalglish double gave Liverpool both points, although the Reds would eventually slip out of the title race. Arsenal would feature heavily later on in the Villa story. Under Terry Neal, they possessed title potential, unbeaten at home and strong away, as they proved when they came to Villa Park.
Now it's Bremner, Morley on this touchline wanting it. Bremner's heading in that direction. Again, he has to attack two. The ball in low for Shaw. A touch. Morley. Goal. Beautiful goal. Constructed by Morley and completed by Morley. 1-0 Aston Villa. Just about 12 minutes gone. Chip forward and Mortimer running well. Oh, he hit the bar. Well, that was a tremendous moment. Wonderful run by Mortimer. Superb run by Mortimer. Deserved better than clipping the bar. Well, the goal scored by Morley has put Villa right on their toes. Referee Midgley allowing for the conditions and also playing advantage. Intelligent bit of refereeing. Sunderland, and that's a beautiful goal for Talbot. 1-1. Arsenal right back in the game. The North Bank travelling supporters from Highbury enjoyed that. It's Sunderland who makes the positive mood in, and Talbot, little flick, and Rimmer flying through the air is beaten.
So, still top of the table at the end of November. At that stage, Liverpool and media darlings Ipswich Town were Villa's main challengers. The defeat at Ayresome Park saw them slip from the summit.
Hodgson attacking down the left flank now. Trying his luck there. Alan Evans has followed him over. Still with Hodgson. Cochrane. It's there. Craig Johnston's got it. Had to be Johnston. Johnston was waiting there in the middle as Cochrane got the header to it, and Johnston finished off. So what can Aston Villa produce now? Mortimer. Shaw through the middle. And it's there. Gary Shaw's done it again. He really is a goal machine. Good positive run through the middle by Mortimer, but there was Gary Shaw all on his own. Acres of space. He kept cool and Jim Platt had no chance. And as the snow comes down, Gary Shaw scores his 12th league goal of the season to make it Middlesbrough 1, Aston Villa 1. Bailey with the throw. Bailey again. Good turn. Shearer, he scored! Great goal by Shearer. Ian Bailey up there. Opening well worked. And finally it came for Shearer. First time, no problem at all, right in the back of the net.
Peter With missed that Borough battle through suspension, and David Geddes stepped into the breach. The December derby with Birmingham at Villa Park would be a day he'd never forget.
Shaw and Hawker, Geddes this is, and he's ready to count! And at last we have a goal, and David Geddes will milk the moment for all it's worth. And suddenly, and finally Shaw puts it in, and as the ball came back, Gary Shaw was on the spot, On by Evans. And he got it in, yes, Dennis! Just squeezing it in after Evans had made his considerable presence felt.
It was something I wasn't really aware of until probably possibly sometime last year, a couple of years ago maybe, that somebody actually mentioned the fact that we had harder games to play in than Ipswich, due to the fact we had all those derby games in and around the Midlands at the time, with your Stokes, Leicester, Derby, Coventry, West Brom, Birmingham. So they were always big games, you know, and to an extent Ipswich had one derby game, you know, and that was it. So we had harder games throughout the season in comparison to what Ipswich did. But as I say, Birmingham was always a big game at that time. You know, it's a game that, for the fans as much as anything else, but obviously for ourselves at that time, because we were doing so well in the league, it was important to beat them both times.
As sweet as another win over the Blues always was, more importantly, Villa were back on top of the table, leading Liverpool by a point going into a frenetic Christmas period. Defeat at Brighton allowed Liverpool to leapfrog them again, but a recalled Peter Withe clinched a Boxing Day win over Stoke that saw them level on points once more. Keeper Peter Fox managed to keep Gary Shaw's header out, but the big Scouser made no mistake. Then the very next day, the future Villa manager would deny them the chance to move clear at the top.
Brigade are moving up into the box. Number 4, Alan Evans. Number 5, Ken McNaught. As Mortimer takes this corner. Near post. Oh! And an own... How on earth did that get in there? Was it an own goal? And a break for Forest. That ball was charged down. Wallace breaks forward. Anderson going to his right. Here goes Viv Anderson. And a touch from Francis, and it's 1-1. Trevor Francis has got the goal. Shaw doing well for Mortimer as Swain breaks on the right. Giddis coming near post. That's Shaw. That's 2-1 Villa. And it drops down for O'Neill. And he scores. It's 2-2.
People moan about playing too many games these days, but it's your profession. It's what you went into and it's what you should be enjoying. And we just love to play football, and it didn't matter, just get up and get on with it.
So Villa would enter 1981 at the summit of the First Division, but Liverpool and Ipswich, who had games in hand, were a little too close for comfort.
When you're leading, you've got that incentive to want to stay there, but equally, when you go behind, it gives you that more hunger to try and, right, we need to get back there, we want to win this. And that was typical of what Ron Saunders has instilled in the squad, really. He wanted winners, he wanted people who worked hard, he wanted people who were brave, and that's what he had. And you know, we dug in and finally got there.
The fact they were involved in both cup competitions and had so many games, you know, as it said, it told in the end, because it had many games to catch up with it as far as the league performance was concerned, and I suppose you could say overall, you know, it was just too much for them. Just the fact we were too good.
The start to the new year couldn't have been more daunting. Another fruitless trip to Ipswich in the FA Cup. Ipswich were well on top in the early stages of the match. Alan Brazil working an opening here, but his shot was blocked. The breakthrough came on 12 minutes. Dutchman Frans Thijssen's weaving run igniting the move, and Muren's glorious pass out to John Walk. His little flick on to Alan Brazil, who worked his way past Alan Evans. Mariner was there to score the only goal of the match. John Walk could have added to the account, but for the heroics of Jimmy Rimmer. But while Villa played well and caused Ipswich a few problems, in the end, they just couldn't beat Paul Cooper between the sticks.
He didn't like getting beat by them, that's for sure. He didn't like getting knocked out of the cup. You know, it was one of these things that's, you know, you want to be involved in going and try and win the league, but it's always a dream for a player to try and get involved in it and go as far as you can in the cup and get the final and hopefully win the cup final. You know, that's a great occasion to be involved in the cup final at Wembley and go on to win it. Unfortunately, Villa didn't have the best of performances as far as the FA Cup was concerned, and obviously getting knocked out by Ipswich is a bit of a it was hard to take at the time.
Out of the frying pan into the fire. The top two would meet at Villa Park in what proved to be one of the most memorable matches of the season.
I just remember Tony turning Richard Money inside out.
Ollie again. Oh, he beat Money too easily. Gary Shaw. With. And Villa take the lead. Shaw knocked the ball back across the goal mouth, and there was Peter with his 9th goal of the season. Back to Swain.
Tony Swain played a little ball inside, and Dennis went on his run. They stepped up and tried to play offside.
Leaving it to Shaw. On through to Mortimer, who's onside. Could this be number 2? Yes! Mortimer stormed forward, took them on. The defence was scored square. Mortimer right through. The goalkeeper to beat. And he did just that easily.
Liverpool for 20 minutes so controlled the game, but didn't really create many chances. I think Villa's second goal was scored by Dennis Moore. If you actually look at the move, it was a phenomenal move really, because I think Alan Kennedy broke from Liverpool's usual, broke down. Des Bremer won a tackle in his own box, just outside of his own box. Give it to Kenny Swain. Kenny Swain done a back heel. Gary Shaw bent out the right. None of this left the floor. The ball, from us winning it to end up in Liverpool's net, he never left the floor at all. And it was to me, that epitomised Aston Villa, the work rate, and if you have full-backs who can back heel it, and Shaw's bent outside of his right, but the runs from midfield, that to me epitomised Aston Villa. That was a fantastic second goal.
The ironic thing about that is that 2 Scousers scored the goals, and Peter with and myself, and and that was also a pleasing thing from my point of view, because it was the first goal I'd scored against Liverpool, but it was also the second goal it was the second goal of the game, which I felt now was going to finish Liverpool off, and there was no way back for them. And it came at a time in the game when we just needed to get that second one.
And I think we start to realise then we've got half a chance here. You don't sort of count your chickens before the rats, but we thought we had half a chance. You're beating a team like Liverpool, and deservedly so. I think we realised Liverpool then were maybe not be the force they were, and we were there now. We can challenge them at anything now.
January continued in some style. Yet another derby win over Coventry, inspired by Peter With. That was followed by a win over John Bond's Manchester City at Villa Park. Gary Shaw got the vital goal against the eventual FA Cup runners-up. Ipswich had the advantage of a game in hand thanks to their growing cup commitments home and abroad. But Villa were right there as they prepared for the trip to Goodison Park. It was a day when a managerial masterstroke from Ron Saunders paved the way for a memorable victory and a moment of sheer magic from Tony Morley.
Ron Saunders, what he used to do on a Friday, he used to pick his team and do the free kicks and corners. Now he knew Everton was my team. He knew they were my team. I'd have all my family and friends there. So he thought I might be a bit blasé, a bit cocky about it. Well, I didn't realise it at the time. So we come on the Friday and right, we're having free kicks. I'd like the reserves to line up. So he used to give you a bib. If you're in reserves, go and line up in the wall. Well, he gave me a bleeding bib, didn't he? And I thought, well, I was obviously gutted anyway, because I thought, well, hang on, it obviously means he ain't going to play me. So we're walking off the pitch and he was saying, I'm a bit concerned about you tomorrow. Why? He said, well, a bit iffy, you're going back home with lots of friends, you like to show off a bit. This is typical one. All the time I wasn't very happy. Like he said, I think we might Pat Hurd gives a bit more stability there, defend a bit more. So I was absolutely livid, you know what I mean? So I didn't say nothing, and so we went for our pre-match meal in Liverpool, so nothing was said. And then you'd have a bit of a team talk, somebody said, I've thought about it overnight, I think Pat might be a bit young, you're back in. So he just wound me up, and he'd done the job, that's what he was like, he'd done the job for us, really.
Just Williams. And here's Tony Morley. Good running by him. Oh, what a great goal!
I just had to score the goal, and once again it was a move more than anything else, and it was a great move, and as I went to strike the ball, it just caught a bit of a divot. And it's like a golf shot, as soon as you hit it, I just flew in the top corner. So I'd done my usual and movements to Mr. Saunders, like he was taking more for the ball. And I'd say if there was no net there, it would have been going 3 minutes behind the stand, what I mean? Stanley Park, it would have ended up that one, don't worry about that.
With offside appeals, no, it's play on, and Mortimer's right through for Aston Villa against the keeper. And And it's 2-1, and they've beaten the offside trap, and Mortimer scores.
Shaw chased a long ball down, which didn't always do Shaw, right into his feet, but he chased the ball over the top down, and Mick Lyons pulled him back.
Shaw thought he was impeded and claims a penalty, and given. Lyons and the goalkeeper got into a terrible mix-up.
And I stuck it away. I think that made it 3-1.
And does. Well, listen to these Villa supporters. You'd think you were at Villa Park.
Whenever you went to Goodison, it's a tight little pitch, and you know they're in your face, putting pressure on all over the place. It's a good place to go and play, but not easy.
That win at Goodison Park made it 4 consecutive victories, and the 5th followed against Crystal Palace at Villa Park. Villa were once again in front early. Tony Morley's cross headed home by Peter With after just 4 minutes. It was his 12th goal of the season. They strengthened their grip in the 70th minute, Terry Boyle's misjudgment falling perfectly for With's second. But a minute later, Vince Hilaire's free kick prodded home by Paul Hinshelwood to ensure a nervous end. The title race was certainly hotting up. At the end of February, Peter With returned to his old club in some style.
Very early on for Morley. John McCall comes across to him, plays the ball off Morley. Now, in fact, that was McCall's last touch. Corner. Morley placing the ball. Cowans over there with him. Evans going up, giving it the touch, but with will! And Peter With has put Villa in front 1-0. Corner coming in from Morley. It wasn't cleared properly, and Peter With's head bangs the ball into the net. Peter With picks up a goal which could be so very, very vital at the end of this season.
Everyone says, after about 10 games, he said, oh, they'll get knocked off the perch, you know, and we kept winning and kept winning, and the more we kept winning, the harder it got for everyone else, and we were getting closer to the championship. And Villa was exactly the same, you know, we just kept winning and winning.
Even without the guidance of Ron Saunders, Villa could win. Laid low with flu, he missed the trip to Roker Park.
We went up on the Friday afternoon, I remember that, and put in a good performance on another windy day up there. 2-1, Alan Evans header, Dennis Mortimer second, yeah. Tony Barton and Roy McLaren took over that day, yeah, and we went out with a good attitude and good performance.
Villa, who've only lost away from home 4 times this season, one of course being on their last trip to the northeast at Middlesbrough. There's Peter With, keeping it going out wide for Morley. Gordon Cowan's making an overlap, but Morley coming inside instead. And has that one crept in? It has, from Alan Evans. And Siddall was left struggling then. Peter With working hard there, kept the move going for Aston Villa. Picked up by Morley, had an option outside him, but he came inside. And a long, deep, probing ball that seemed to give the Sunderland defence a bit of problem in the wind. But there was Alan Evans to knock the ball away from Barry Siddall and put Villa 1 up. Shaw, Cowans, great ball through the middle for Mortimer. Can he finish it? He certainly can, with no problems at all. 2-0 Villa, Dennis Mortimer the scorer. Absolutely inch perfect, and Mortimer made up the ground well from midfield. Now that's 2-0 to Aston Villa. Great ball through though from Gordon Cowans. Arnott, Ritchie, good header, but Rimmer was there, perfectly positioned. Another one of those carefully flighted free kicks from Kevin Arnott, which Ritchie read well. Nice flicked header, but Rimmer in no real trouble. Arnott. Header from Evans, picked up by Chisholm, but Villa have got it back again. All straight to Cummins. Good shot, good save by Rimmer. But Cummins was quick to seize on the opportunity there and get a shot in. Cowans lost possession. Cummins picked it up, looked for the opening and managed to find a way through, and Rimmer did well. Tom Ritchie to Joe Bolton, to Cummins, fouled there by Swain. Free kick to Sunderland. Quickly taken. This is Arnott. Hinnigan's come up there. He scored! Joe Hinnigan's first goal for Sunderland pulls them back into this game. The quickly taken free kick and the perfect delivery again from Kevin Arnott. Joe Hinnigan made up an awful lot of ground and his header was accurate. Ritchie brings it down and turns neatly and finds Cummins. Arnott, it's one for them to fight for. Bolton, and Rimmer did well then. That was a good effort from Joe Bolton. Lining up the shot as the ball fell. He got well over it and kept it down, and Rimmer was more than happy to beat it away. Shaw, Mortimer, oh, he's away now. Now he could really settle it here. Dennis Mortimer, he's past Siddall. No, he's not. That's a fine saving challenge on Mortimer by Siddall. He did superbly then when Mortimer seemed to have the chance to settle the game once and for all.
Manchester United were up next at Villa Park. Stand by for another thriller.
United, who've had a fairly good record in First Division matches here in recent years. Going to go back to 77-78 since they last lost here. It certainly would be a turn up for the book if they pulled off a shock result this afternoon. On current form, that is. Here goes Mortimer. Williams. Cowans has called for it. And Swain starts to break on the right. Going against Alveston, looking for the cross. It's a good one with goal. Beautiful. 1-0. Kenny Swain, this break on the outside, races past Alveston, a perfectly flighted ball. And look at the way that Peter With picked his spot just wide of Bailey's stretching right hand. Lovely goal, Peter With. Aston Villa, 1-0. Morley attacking Nicol. Corner given. Morley was expecting a free kick. So we've got Morley, number 11. And Cowans is lurking over in that area as well. Chips it straight in. With. Oh, what a goal! How did he manage to turn 180 degrees and pop that one in? Peter With is second of the game. 2-0 Aston Villa. And it's all down to the big fella. They didn't get the ball clear, but look at the turn he gets there. Manchester United, 6 consecutive away defeats. Going to be lucky if they get anything out of this game now. Aston Villa very much in the boss seat. That's Alveston. Fouled. Free kick. And McElroy will take the corner. The free kick. Just as good as a corner. It's a corner now. That came off McNaught. Macari a touch. Will come to Koppel. Good cross, far post, and there's McElroy. And there's the goal from Joe Jordan. It's 2-1. And the United fans have absolutely risen up out of their seats for that one. They really got a close-up view of it. Knocks it far post. And we look for McElroy to get the touch on the far post. And then Jordan, his marker not near him. A touch from Rimmer and a gift for Jordan. It's Dave Sexton over in the left of the group as we look at United manager. That's Cowan. Oh, what a fine try by Cowans. Two young players with razor-sharp reflexes. Cowan's the first timer. Bailey really went across to claw that out of the air. Back to Koppel. On to Wilkins. And now Koppel again. Getting to the line, looking for the cross. It's a good one, Jordan! Oh, fine goal, Joe Jordan! Equaliser! Little jink to the line. Look at the power of Joe Jordan as he came in on this one. Bang! 2-2. And Villa come again through Mortimer. This one in for Shaw. Oh, and that just hung in the air. 3-2. Gary Shaw puts Villa in front. And that tantalisingly hung away from Bailey. There's Shaw, and it seemed to hang there, and Bailey just couldn't make it. Jordan helps that on. McNaught heads clear. That'll drop down to Koppel. And Birtles gives United fresh hope. Touchdown to Koppel. And again, Koppel trying to get there. And he's pointed to the penalty spot, has referee Reeves. And United have the chance to draw level. He goes in there. And it's here that Williams is adjudged to have fouled him. McIlroy. 3-3 it is. Well, that's unbelievable. Without any goals at all for so long, and now they scored 3. There's the third one from Sammy McIlroy.
I don't think we've ever seen a game with Villa play Man United where it's been boring, really. Not at all. They're always open games, and I think you had full-backs who attacked on both sides. You had midfield players who were very creative, and you had people who could score goals. So it was always going to be entertaining games. Plus, when you play like Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, the atmosphere at the ground is always buzzing, and it's the big games, and you can feel that the vibes going round. It helps, gets you going. It's you feel on edge all the time. You want to do well, and probably that's part of the magic of playing these big teams all the time. I'm playing at Villa Park, because let's believe when Villa Park's full, it's one of these stadiums to play. It's fantastic.
This time the cameras couldn't miss another classic, but that McIlroy equaliser proved costly. Villa unbeaten in 10, but still off the top of the table after Ipswich trounced Tottenham in a fiery encounter at Portman Road. Sadly for Villa, Spurs put up more of a fight at White Hart Lane.
Brook played a beautiful ball there for Crooks. Goal! A beautiful bit of shooting by Crooks, but above everything else, it was a superb ball played here by Gary Brook. That's the ball there, played first time, inch perfect, onto the left foot and past Rimmer, and Spurs ahead. Miller, long ball forward. Crooks finding Galvin. Still with Galvin. Getting it back there, Archibald! Well, that's 2-0, and it's one of the unsung heroes, Tony Galvin, who set that one up. Coming down this byline, and he's done that rather well once or twice today. There's the cross going in, and the header, and a good one that is on the replay there from Steve Archibald.
Villa were behind again at home to Southampton thanks to an own goal from Alan Evans, but they proved they had the character of champions.
Cowans. Gibbs. Oh, a good knock on. Morley was onside. Steve Williams. And Villa now fight fighting for everything. This is Williams, who's put Geddes away, surely.
Ipswich was still on top with a game in hand until a visit to the Hawthorns ended in defeat, and a red Des Bremner goal helped seal a 4-2 Villa win at Leicester and a change in the lead.
I just remember the ball had got put up the pitch towards Peter, and he was competing with the centre half at the time. I thought, well, he's going to get a flick on in this. So I've just got on and take a chance he's going to win and get a flick on, and it so happened, got it through, and an unbelievable left peg, wasn't it? Volley. You know, never very often you see goals scored by Des Bremner as a left footer volley. And I always remember that day because it was Grand National Day. You know, the block of flats behind the small stand at Filbert Street. And on the day, Aldeniti won it, and somebody had put a sheet with Aldeniti's name on the sheet hanging out the window. So it's just a song I remember the game by, but obviously for scoring a goal as well.
With knocking down to Mortimer. Searing clearance then from Fryer, who goes forward to try and support Melrose. May not need it, it's Young. That's a penalty against Ken McNaught. There's Young, there's McNaught, there's the tackle. So, Steve Lennox versus Jimmy Rimmer. And 1-0, Leicester City. Just about 15 minutes of the first half gone. And he took that so coolly, so calmly. And Rimmer went the wrong way. It's Gordon Cowans over the ball. They've got Shaw with McNaught. That's With. That's 1-1. Peter With. He creeps closer to his best ever record season. And that looked so easy, didn't it? He rose magnificently, did With. Just a glance of the head. 1-1, pick that up. Here comes Bremner, he's beaten him for Melrose. Wilson goes on, chased by Cowans, the two number 10s. Early ball in, Young! Maybe took that too casually. Maybe thought that a little flick was all that was needed. But in fact, he had time. See the amount of space that Young has there. He left his marker. Touch on from With. May down, and Bremner's in there. And Bremner makes it 2-1 to Aston Villa. Des Bremner. And that will have brightened Des Bremner's day. He came in on that, and he was so sure of himself, and he buries the ball beautifully. 2-1 Aston Villa. Drew Cox header forward. Off. And it was Bremner and Evans who got in each other's way, and now it's Young. Cowans says, come on, get it. And is it going in? Linex has put it in, and it counts. It's 2-2. A tale of errors there. First, it was Bremner and Evans getting in each other's way, and now here it was Cowans. And Swain comes in late. Linex gets it away from all of them. And pops in his second goal of the game, so it's 2-2. Swain's kick. Easy one for May. May's there again, working now with Bremner. Swain. Good cross. And With is going to score. He's done it again, Peter With. Well, what a beautiful cross that was from Kenny Swain, who started as a winger in his early days with Wycombe Wanderers and then with Chelsea, and showed with this cross right from the corner flag that he hasn't forgotten how to drop them in there. And look at Peter With coming up on the back post. Wellington's got no chance with that. It's 3-2 Aston Villa. So a free kick to Villa. Wellington has asked for 5 in the wall. And they are guarding his right-hand post. Left as we look at it. Cowans and Mortimer together, and Mortimer nicks it off to Morley. And Morley scores! A beautifully worked free kick. And Aston Villa are 4-2 in front. Tony Morley makes it 12 goals for the season. Mortimer strokes that off, and Morley really hammers that deep in there.
Midweek victory over West Bromwich Albion cemented Villa's lead, while Ipswich were occupied with cup commitments, beating Cologne to reach the UEFA Cup final. In the middle of April, Bobby Robson's men came to Villa Park twice in 4 days, first losing to Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-final. They would return the following Tuesday for what everyone saw as the title decider.
Obviously very busy, the traffic around the ground, because everyone wanted to be here. I think Peter With might be one of the players that had trouble getting here. Finally got here with a, I don't know, he got a police car to lead him here, I think, didn't he? To escort him here, and so he got here just in time, in the nick of time.
And it was very, very evenly matched game, like the 2 previous games had been.
A long ball by John Walk seemed harmless enough, but Villa's Ken McNaught hesitated for an eternity and allowed Mariner to find Brazil for the opening goal.
I think I was involved in a slack pass back to Ken McNaught or something in that game. I think I probably caused one of the goals.
Eric Gates scored a goal and did the worst celebration I've ever seen. I don't know whether you remember it. He did a little forward roll, and it really was pathetic. I mean, his goal was fantastic, but Eric, the celebration was desperate.
With 79 minutes gone, a second Villa error, Bremner's pass, led to Ipswich's second goal, scored beautifully by Eric Gates.
A fantastic goal, really, a great strike from probably about 20-25 yards out, top corner. You know, you can't legislate for those sort of shots and those goals.
Villa's reply was almost immediate. The chest down from Peter With and the shot from Gary Shaw. But marvellous goal though it was, Shaw's 19th of the season was Villa's only happy memory of a night which belonged to Ipswich.
That defeat really shook us up. We were really upset about it. It did stir us up, but if you look back, I remember the manager Ron Saunders doing an interview after the game.
Although we've only got 4 games left and they've got 5 games left, that's a long way to go yet at this stage of the season.
So it's all for play for still?
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
No one would ever bet against Ron on that situation, you know, because he knew better than them.
That was how much he backed us, and he came in after the game into the dressing room and said, listen lads, we're still going to win this. You have to believe that, and tried to instill that belief into us again and that desire to keep going, and he did.
Walking off the pitch and I heard them cheering, blah, 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 and I remember Saunders at the top of the tunnel saying, you won't be cheering at the end of the season. See, some of that remark, he actually said something like that. He said, they're all cheering, and he was saying, oh, it's it, and he shouted some in defiance against them.
You know, we were disappointed, again, not to at least get a point from the game. But I always remember at the end of the game, coming up the tunnel, that the Ipswich lads were full of it, like, you know, and I think Mick Mills, as an example, says, well, that's it, we're going to win the league now, kind of still. You know, so you're thinking. But as soon as we got in the dressing room, and Saunders was there and says, look, hey, get your heads up, we're still going to win this league. You know, we're going to win it, don't worry.
We were a bit disappointed because we didn't feel we were done on the counter-attack, because we were playing at home. We thought we'd go all guns blazing, as it were, and unfortunately we lost. And I think that you know, when you look back on it, they probably thought, you know, we've won the championship now, and probably was a little bit thinking to themselves that, you know, we've done Villa now 3 times and we should be the rightful champions.
The only time I actually thought that they were a better side, this might sound, was when they beat us here. We played them in the cup, and we played them there, and we actually should have won both games. But they beat us, we can't do nothing about that, and then they beat us at Villa Park here.
Well, you had the points in the hand. They had to win their games. It's all about points, not games. And it proved it again. They had two games, didn't win them, Southampton and Middlesbrough. So I know the teams they played, they didn't win them neither. So, you know, but people say, oh, Ipswich. No, we had the points. We were sitting there. They had to come and get us.
Villa's confidence would be severely tested, though. Up next at Villa Park were the reigning European champions.
McNaught's header forward. Anderson out. Mortimer up. Francis going as well. Bremner hoiks that one in the air. And Anderson decides that's the safest thing to do. Anderson getting quite a workout from Tony Morley. Shaw with Orse at his back. And it's Morley again. Against Anderson. That's a nice looking... Oh, that was a push, yes, a penalty. Robertson on Bremner. Right in front of the referee, and I don't think, though we've seen some controversial ones recently, I don't think there can be too much argument about that. Beautiful cross in by Morley, and now look for Robertson. There it was. Little push away, and see how close the referee was. Scored one penalty against Everton in his last 24 games. He's got that one all right. 1-0, Aston Villa. The one he missed against Tottenham, he wasn't going to make that mistake again. And Ors. Francis got a good touch. Here's Robertson. Robbed by Swain. Oh, Ors put on shore. The referee intelligently allows play on, gives the advantage. It's Morley attacking Anderson and looking for William. Yes, a very, very well-constructed goal, beautifully taken, and the referee plays some part in that for giving the advantage so well. But Peter With, the scorer. 2-0 Aston Villa. Morley's break, a beautifully delivered cross. It's difficult, I think, for Shilton to cut it out. You can see now as it came across, and With arriving on the far post with a perfectly placed header.
The dressing room was buoyed by news of Ipswich's dramatic home defeat at the hands of Arsenal. 3 more wins and the title was Villa's. But Tony Morley had more pressing concerns.
I had a bit of surprise that Saturday night after the Forest game. We were training on the Sunday, but when I went home on the Saturday night, my house was burnt down. When I had nothing left, like, you know what I mean? All my clothes and everything had gone. So on the Saturday, I'm actually in the hostel. I've actually gone into the training ground on a Sunday, because I've slept in my car the Saturday night. I've gone in the training ground on the Sunday. I'm full of smoke, black, because I've obviously got to see anything in the house. You know, and I've said to Saunders, I said to him, this is what he was like as a person. I said, got a slight problem, but well, obviously he's seen me coming over, and he looked at me and thought, I can't believe. I said, I've got a slight problem. I said, I had a fire at my house and I've lost everything. And his actual words to me to this day, stuck in my mind, obviously to this day. He said, don't pay for that, son. We pay to play football, you're training. I thought, hang on, I've got nothing left, like, you know what I mean, clothes, everything gone, you know, and literally everyth's gone. I was very lucky I wasn't in the house, I wouldn't survive it, because it was the smoke that causes damage. And he's asked for his words, so he just said, we don't pay for that. So that's the way he was, anyhow. So cut long story, I trained, and I still remember living in the hostel. The club had an hostel there on the Chester Road. And, on the Sunday morning then, Sunday after, I was actually in a jumble sale trying to get some clothes. So when I walked on the bus going to Stoke, I was looking like a bleeding right clown, like, you know, I had trousers that didn't fit me as usual, like, you know, I had a nice shirt, a blue shirt, borrowed off, so everything was borrowed. So as you walked on the pitch at Stoke, an important game, you know, the lads always go and test the pitch, don't they? So I'm going on there testing the pitch, and I had these trousers, all like with pockets in the front, would be too big for me, they were girlfriends' fathers. And I had braces on, so when I was trying to pull them down so we couldn't see me, because they're up here, the braces kept flying up.
Braces and all, Morley helped inspire Villa to a draw at Stoke on Easter Monday, but Ipswich lost the same day to bitter rivals Norwich. So it was possible Villa could win the league at home to Middlesbrough the following Saturday. But surprisingly, there was a little trepidation.
People have spoke about Middlesbrough being our bogey side, and Peter With came up with some rubbish in the dressing room before the match. He said, listen lads, every time I've played these I've always beat them.
And I always scored against Middlesbrough. And there was sort of relief in the camp that everyone was saying, oh, you know, quite pleased about that.
And he totally made it up.
The following day when we went out, and we really, I mean, it was covered on television. I remember the commentator saying, which was John Motson, saying they can't get out of their half, and they couldn't. They literally, every time they won the ball, we won it back, and we just kept peppering them.
Evans gets up, there's With, there's Evans, Shaw! Gary Shaw! With! Ken McNaught up with Platt, Evans! Alan Evans!
And of course it was a bit of a psychological thing by, yours truly, because it wasn't true that I hadn't lost against them and I hadn't scored a goal against them all the time.
It was a funny game because it was a situation where we perhaps, I think we could have won the league that day, and during the game there was rumours flying around, I think from behind Jimmy Rimmer's goal, that we were 2-0 up at the time, and we heard rumours that Ipswich were getting beaten, that we'd won the league, and those rumours started to fly even during the game. We were trying to concentrate on the game, but those rumours were flying around.
I had to play against Cochrane, who was a tricky right winger, and they had a few good players at Middlesbrough, and they were one of these teams who could beat anybody, as in the end they did. They beat Ipswich to give us the league, and we absolutely demolished them, beat them 3-0, and that was a fantastic team performance, and really showed me that, you know, what sort of side we were. They weren't a bad side, and we just took them by the scruff of the neck and dispatched them.
With a bit of a celebration going around saying we thought we'd won it, and the crowd were going mad. Unfortunately, it was premature. I mean, Saunders dragged us all in. I said, look, you know, we haven't, you know, they've got a result. It's going to go on the last game.
So Aston Villa went to Highbury needing only a point to claim their first league title since 1910.
I don't know how it would just need a draw. I think it's just the fact it's a one game. It could earn you the title. There's so much after the games you've played for the whole of the season. It's gone down to that one game.
So obviously there was a lot of tension coming up to the last game at Arsenal. So because obviously the club hadn't won the league for 60, 70 odd years. It was and to have two European champions in our league anyhow, as they were in Liverpool and Forest, and to go above them, you know, to win it would have been a great achievement really. So it was a big game at Arsenal. Full house. It was the biggest crowd of the season. I think it was 50,000.
Obviously there is pressure, there's nerves, as there is in any game, you know, but obviously you can understand there'll be a little bit more pressure on that game.
So Sansom takes, on by Sunderland. John Hollins and McDermott's in there. Young. Willie Young! Jennings coming very confidently. What authority he's got. Hooked out there for McDermott to chase against Swain. And this is McDermott for Arsenal. He's got two to beat now. There's the first one. And he shoots in! What a fine goal by Brian McDermott!
I think it was the worst game I've ever had for Villa at my old club Arsenal when we lost 2-0. Well, I had a nightmare. I honestly did. I think I can remember that one because it was the last game of the season and Championship was run. But like Ron says, remember all the good games before that.
We really didn't perform that day at all. I don't think it was anything to do with the occasion got to. We just didn't perform as a team.
We're so proud of the way we played that year that on that particular game we let ourselves down.
I don't think anybody could really hold their hands up and say they'd done well that game. You know, it was just Arsenal was a bit of a bogey side to us at the time. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, it was a strange situation really because 5 minutes before the end, the crowd were going absolutely crazy. So it was unreal.
The fans themselves, you know, their emotions that were spilling out at that Arsenal game on the terraces, obviously, you know, just before our game finished, we could tell that there was something going on, and I think, you know, their emotions must have been going up and down all the way through that day.
We thought, well, you know, something was happening at Middlesbrough with Ipswich, and it can only be the fact that Middlesbrough scored. So obviously news gets to the players on the pitch, like, you know.
And the Villa fans are roaring again at the clock end, and Middlesbrough must have scored again to take the lead against Ipswich, and if they have, that's the championship for Villa.
We made sure we got it substantiated from different sources, so it was coming from all corners of the ground, so we're fairly confident that was the case.
The final whistle went, the crowd just came on.
And the referee's blown and they're going for the dressing room. Aston Villa beaten here 2-0. Doesn't matter. They are the champions for the first time since 1910.
The fact that fans come charging on the pitch, it told its own story, you know, and that to the players was just, I mean, it's such a great achievement, you know. We were in the dressing room rejoicing and having a few drinks and that sort of thing, and it was just great memories.
Getting beaten 2-0 at Highbury was a little bit sweet and sour. It was very sweet because we heard that Middlesbrough were beating Ipswich, so we knew we'd won the league at the end. But being the team that we were and the discipline that was being instilled in us by Ron Saunders, we weren't happy with our performance at all.
Although we won the league that day, it took probably an hour or so for things to sink in. It was a little bit of a deflated dressing room initially because of our pride in our performance, I think.
The emotions after the game, I think, were, I would imagine for most of the lads, were relief that it was all over. and now we could celebrate what had been a long, hard season.
I think if we hadn't won the league that day, we would have got one hell of a rollicking. But I think the champagne came out pretty quick. So that was one of the good things about that game. But I wouldn't like to think that a performance like that would be repeated many times.
Did you spare a thought for Bosko Jankovic, the Middlesbrough player who got a couple of goals against Ipswich?
He was a hero of the day, wasn't he? You know, I don't think we spared too much of a thought for Arsenal. Obviously, you shook the hands and everything else going off the pitch, and I'd say it was a great end to a great season for us.
But it was such a relief, and to this day, like I said, Tony McAndrew keeps reminding me that it was Middlesbrough that won the league for us. We didn't win it; they won it for us. And a fantastic performance to turn it around as they did. I mean, because we did really make them look a poor side here. But for them to beat Ipswich was a great performance. Well, great achievement for us anyway.
It was incredible, really. I mean, you look like 2 or 3 weeks before when Ipswich beat at home and they were all cheering going up the tunnel. How things can change in football, it's phenomenal. And I don't think it really sank in, really, maybe till probably the week into after we won the league. I mean, because it was, even though we'd won the league, it was still a bit of an anticlimax. We would love to win it at Villa Park, and to win it would be fantastic. But we didn't really do ourselves justice against Arsenal. But that may be only 1 or 2 games in that season that we can say we didn't really perform. But at the end of the day, it didn't really matter about the result. Ipswich got beat, and we won the league. So, as we all say, we got more points than them, and that's all that mattered at the end of this. We were league champions.
For the first time in 71 years, the title was Aston Villa's. And with room to spare, Ipswich got bogged down in their European challenge, and Ron Saunders' team ruthlessly took advantage.
Absolutely fantastic. It was just jam-packed. There was people on rooftops, dancing along, doing the conga, and it was absolutely fantastic. And we were still in quite a state from the night before, and the drinking on the morning as well. So, absolutely great times.
I just felt myself that I was privileged to be captain. Being captain also was one of the things I felt that if we did win a trophy, I'd be the first to get my hands on the trophy, as it was then. It's totally changed now. Captain gets his hands on the trophy when everybody else had gone through, but he's still the first to get his hands on a trophy. But in those days it was you get the trophy, and to me, as I said earlier, being a footballer, my big ambition was to win things, and you couldn't get anything bigger than that really domestically.
When you actually sit down a few days later and think of what you've achieved, it's massive, because it's been a long time since the club had done that. It was 42 hard games to play in and win overall.
You're judged over the whole season, all the games you play in a season. It's all league games, isn't it? At the end of the day, they play the same amount of games as we did, and we finished in top.
I do class football, and it's just like any normal job, really, except that you're out there in front of the public, but you're doing a job, and it's a job that you love doing. But you need to have a good, happy workforce to be able to make it happen, and that comes through results. It comes through, winning, and winning games and confidence was everything.
It's a great year. Obviously, gone on and done better the next year and winning the European Cup, but to win that league championship was wonderful, and it sticks in my mind, it sticks in all the players' mind, and I'm sure it sticks in all the Aston Villa fans' mind.
Football has completely changed now. I think, like I've said to you before, we went to the studio the other week and people said, well, how would that Villa side compare with that? I said, well, we won't have a chance because the squad's that big. But I explained to people, I said, well, look at it this way, take any team at Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, take their best 16 players, 17 players, and play them over 2 seasons in mud and playing against European champions over 2 seasons. Could they achieve what we achieved? I very, very much doubt so.
Unless you can match those top 4, and we're talking about Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United and Chelsea, with the way they spend, I think it's always going to be tough. I think to win the championship is going to be tough. To maybe get one of those qualifications for Europe, especially the Champions League, maybe there's a chance of that. But to win the title, you've got to have one hell of a squad.
I think it was more open in our days. Now it isn't. As I say, there's not many teams. I think Villa will be up there in time, but not ready yet. And then there's Manchester United and Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. And all the papers when I'm home in Canada, that's all they talk about. And but I think Villa will be up there in time. You've got to give Martin, time to build what he wants to win. He did it at Celtic. Why can't he do it at Villa?
We're proud of what we achieved. I would absolutely, dearly love to see Aston Villa achieve something like that again. It might take some time, but in Martin O'Neill and John Robertson and the rest of his staff and players, I hope that they can bring around something like that.
I spent well over 10 years at Aston Villa Football Club, in capacity as player and in capacity in one way or the other, in the coaching side, director of youth, all that sort of thing, and built up an affinity, as I said, when we done the reception down at the town hall. We had quite a lot of Liverpool people in the team, scouts in the team, and we felt that we were adopted Brummies, as it were. And of course, although I live in Australia now, I still come back because I've got family here, and I still come to Birmingham. All right, I go and visit my parents in Liverpool, but most of the time I spend here in Birmingham.
So you've become a Brummie.
I haven't got the accent though.
I'm sure the club will give it every go, because that's what it's all about. It's about winning things, and the football fans want to win something, and it's been a while since this club won anything. And with all the new happenings that are going on at the football club, with the new directors and everything else, then the fans are very optimistic that things might happen. And but the only place it really does happen is out on a football field, and that's a tough call.
So what can Aston Villa produce now?
And Bremner to Morley. And Morley scores!
Onside! Could this be number 2? Yes!
With goal. Beautiful. This one in for Shaw. Oh! I'm looking for Wynn. Yes! Alan Evans. There was quick thinking. A touch. Morley. Goal. Beautiful. And Shaw. That's 2-1 Villa.
And the Villa fans are roaring again at the clock end.